Welcome to our Mindful Medicine podcast. It's Hannah and Brianna, and we're excited to talk through this week about how mindfulness became such a big part of our lives and how mindful medicine was essentially created, right? Um, Before we get started, though, we always love to begin each episode with some grounding breaths. So I'll invite everyone to, if they're in a safe place to do so, soften their gaze or close their eyes. Relax your shoulders, unhinge your jaw. Relax those micro muscles in your face and your forehead. And just breathe normally for now, but mentally begin to scan your body, starting at the crown of your head, gradually scanning down each body part all the way to the tips of your toes. And with each breath, with each exhale, giving yourself permission to soften, to let go of any tension or tightness that you may be holding on to release any stress from earlier in the day, and just allowing yourself to be fully present here and now. I invite you to take one deep breath, noticing that cool air coming in through your nose, feeling your chest and your belly rise, your ribs expand, holding for a moment at the top and taking a nice, long, deep exhale out whenever you're ready. We'll continue this for 3 breaths at your own pace, taking a nice deep exhale in, holding for a beat at the top, and making that exhale twice as long if possible. One more deep breath in, and a nice, long, even audible exhale if that feels right for you, letting it all go whenever you're ready. Gently wiggling your fingers, your toes, blinking open your eyes if they're closed. Hopefully feeling a bit more grounded, a little less tense. Hi, Brianna.
Ooh. Ooh, those deep breaths are getting harder to do.
Because you are very pregnant. Or
34
very,
weeks pregnant.
wow.
Yeah, he's that's funny in the body scan. Like my whole body was relaxed except for like my entire stomach. It's just like ugh. I'm like trying to mentally like relax that area, and I'm like, no, it's not happening.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder in this phase of life. Um, and we'll get into why it's so important in all seasons of life. But yeah, do you want to kick us off talking about how you kind of discovered mindfulness being such an important part of your life and why you were seeking it when that all started for you?
Yeah. I well, we have to roll it back to my time at healthcare.
Mhm.
I was working bedside and I I mean, I had worked bedside for years and years and worked through the pandemic, COVID from start to finish, all, stressful. It was stressful time for all nurses and all healthcare workers. Um, but for me, I started having these physical ailments, I guess. Started off with headaches. I mean, like, not just headaches, like severe, like cluster headaches and migraines that I would get at work and then drive home like in tears because I was in so much pain. And that was the first thing. And then I started having um like stomach issues, like stomach pain, like almost like I had like an ulcer. But I
Mhm.
mean, I went to a GI specialist and I had an EGD done, and they're like, you're fine. It's like, okay, why does my stomach hurt all the time? And
Mhm.
then the last thing that really set off, and these were like going on for like months. I mean, the headaches lasted like years. That was like the first thing. Then the stomach stuff happened. And then the last thing that was kind of like the last straw for me was I started feeling dizzy all the time, just 24/7. And it wasn't to the point where like I would like get so dizzy that I felt like I was gonna like fall or like couldn't like walk straight, but it was just like there, like almost like a lightheaded, fuzzy, if I thought about it too much, like dizzy feeling. And
Mhm.
it was just so annoying because I was like, what is this? So I'm like, of course, I'm like jumping to the worst possible conclusion. Like, there's something wrong with my brain, like, whatever.
Mhm.
And so I ended up going to my primary care for the dizziness. And she, and of course, me and the nursing, I'm like, I think it's this. Like, can we test this? Can I get an MRI? Can I do all these things? And she was like, I don't think we need to do that. She's like, let's get some just basic labs and go from there. And so I was like, all right, whatever. Like, obviously, this lady doesn't know what she's talking about. But okay. So I did the labs, they all came back fine. Um, and then she messages me and she's like, can we do like a telehealth appointment? And I was like, okay, whatever. So I did that. And I was telling her all these things. Oh, also I had heart palpitations like throughout this entire thing as well. Like, so like headaches, heart palpitations, stomach problems, and then the dizziness. All of these things. And I was telling her all this stuff, and I work as a nurse, like I work bedside, like I've done it for, I was probably like 5 years at this point. And she was like, I think you have anxiety. And I was like, no, that's not what this is. Like, you're wrong. Like, there's obviously something like seriously wrong with me. Like, I want, whatever. And she was like, I know, like, as nurses, because she was actually a nurse practitioner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she was like, I know as nurses, like, our jobs are stressful. And she was like, sometimes that stress can manifest in physical ways. And she was like, just from what you're describing to me, all of these really vague, like symptoms sounds like anxiety. And she was like, how do you feel about taking a low dose of like an anti-anxiety, not an antidepressant, it was just an anxiety medication.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'll think about it. Like, I really don't want to be on medication, you know. And then like I got off the appointment and talked to my husband about it. And he was like, I think it's worth a try. Like, if it doesn't work, then don't take it and do something else. But He's like, I also agree that I think you have anxiety. And I was like, all right, whatever. So took the medication. Couple weeks in, symptoms started going away. I was feeling better. I was more in my own head a little bit. Like it felt more grounding, I guess. Like I felt more like in control.
Hmm.
And then I realized that I didn't realize I was anxious and having all this nervous system dysregulation because that was my life 24/7. That's just how I lived. Like that was my normal. And so
Right.
people were telling me, "Oh, you're anxious, like you have anxiety." I'm like, "I don't feel any different day to day. Like when I go to work, when I come home, like obviously work is stressful, yes, but like I'm not stressed out still when I come home, or so I thought." But so like that's why it was so weird to me is because I was living so unregulated and so anxious and so stressed out 24/7. When I was at work, when I wasn't at work, I was still just like fight or flight constantly because
Mm.
that's like how I had trained my body and my mind to run.
Hmm.
And so I started taking the medication and it actually like kind of brought me out of that what I was living in. I was like, "Oh, this is what it feels like to feel not stressed out all the time." And so my goal was to get off the medication. Like I wanted to use the medication as a tool to
Hmm.
help me like pull myself out of that space so I could actually work on figuring out how to overcome anxiety and stress and letting it completely control my life.
Hmm.
And so I took the medication and it worked great. And it put me in a headspace and that gave me the mental capacity to work on myself. And so that's what introduced me, looking into like, how do I manage nervous system regulation? Like, and nervous system regulation was a new thing for me. Like, when I started looking into all of this stuff, nervous system regulation, I had never heard of before. And so I started learning all about that and like the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system and how that all works and how that plays a huge part in stress regulation and anxiety. And so the big overarching thing that a lot of people recommended was mindfulness, whether that looked like practicing meditations or just breath work or learning tools to manage stress when it was happening.
Hmm.
Because before I didn't manage anything, I just absorbed it and held on to it. And you hold on to anxiety and stress for so long that it builds up in your body and it creates, I mean, it's going to come out one way or the other. So for me, it was coming out with these physical manifestations of pain and like weird medical ailments that didn't have an answer. So that's what brought me to mindfulness. And here we are
Yeah.
today. And I think, Hannah, you have a kind of similar situation that brought you to mindfulness, right?
Yeah, and it's so funny just talking with you in this venue. I feel like I discover more and more things that we have in common from our experiences
Yeah.
that we've never shared with each other before. Because, yes, I never experienced any health symptoms really growing up. I was super fortunate to be a healthy kid, and I didn't experience chronic symptoms, if you will, until I was well within my nursing career also, and a lot of them aligned. I didn't have the GI symptoms, but I experienced chronic headaches. I worked in a headache clinic, and we would joke that if you work in the headache clinic, you're going to end up with headaches.
No.
And I think there is something to that. Like we're sitting inside for full shifts under bright fluorescent lights, dealing with a high stress environment. I don't think that it helped that I was taking a form of hormonal birth control, which I feel also impacted me, but I was also experiencing chronic vertigo symptoms, so very much aligned. I
Yeah.
didn't know that you experienced that to the point where it was stressful for me. I was living in San Francisco at the time to drive. I was very anxious about driving in the city because I just felt this crazy sense of almost feeling like drunk, even though I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't feel totally stable in my body and was also experiencing migraines that were um really taking me out. Like I would come home from work and ride my bike home and remember hitting bumps and my brain just killing
Yeah.
inside a helmet and then just wanting to lay down in the dark in a quiet space for hours after and would say to my partner like please don't talk to me, it's too like I would just be cranky and on edge. And I think that a lot of it, like you said, was this bottled up stress that so many healthcare workers hold on to, that again was manifesting as these symptoms. And it's so ironic because we are the ones that are also taking care of people with similar symptoms and then teaching them. And so I began thinking about it when the providers around me, especially the psychologists, were prescribing mindfulness and nervous system regulation for my patients. And then I started to think, oh, yeah, I probably should do that too. Because we weren't taught these skills and didn't really have access to them in our um, undergrad, like our nursing programs. And then I never was taught this when I was working in the hospital and also going for my um, NP program. So it was like double stress, right? It was keeping up with homework and with my full-time job. So yeah, that we have very similar aligned experiences, and just hearing that similarity between the two of us, I'm sure that there's a lot more nurses out there who can, especially females. I think these are common symptoms when we're also pushing through our cycles and not really learning how to uh, manage the ups and downs of each phase of our menstrual cycle as well.
Oh.
So,
Which we could do a whole topic about that too.
yes, managing stress and learning how to work with your body in a healthy
Yeah.
way, the natural ups and downs of our hormones. So we were both in pain, uncomfortable in our bodies. I never ended up on any anxiety meds, but maybe should have. Maybe that would have been helpful, but was grasping for what are the holistic tools that I can use to help me feel better so that I am coming from a state where I'm not constantly uncomfortable, but can also teach my patients who are experiencing these symptoms and who are younger than me, because I was working in a pediatric clinic to do the same. And a lot of that led me to what are these holistic tools I can use for myself, and for others, to finding holistic nurse coaching. I think that popped up when I was searching, scouring the internet for alternative ways to take
Yeah.
care of myself and others. And you and I have talked a lot about this, but we went through different programs. You went through the Nurse Coach Collective, and I went through Inca. Both of them really emphasized the importance of mindfulness, of caring for our patients, our clients' mind, body, and spirit. And so I think that really expedited our both of our mindfulness journeys, experiences, right?
Yeah, I definitely, it was still very new to me when I was in the program. And so, they tell us, if you're gonna, start a session with a client, like start it with a guided meditation or something to help, ground both of you and like get prepped for the coaching session. And I was like, feels so awkward. Like, I'm
We
not
would
used
never
to
do this in a
this.
hospital, right?
No. I'm just like, here, take your meds and leave me alone.
Yeah.
But, but no, and it really helped me. I mean, just like when we start these episodes, when we're, getting ready, we hit record, and there's like that buzz of energy, and we do the breath work or like we did the body scan today. It is such a shift in like your mindset, and you feel it in your body, just like the calming, like grounding sensation that it brings. And it took what, like 2, 3 minutes for us to do that this morning. And so I'm that it's so powerful, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Mindfulness is really powerful in bringing you back to center and quieting your mind, focusing on your breath, and just being in the present moment. And that is medicine in itself. And that's what we always say, mindfulness is medicine. And it is so true.
Right.
And so, yeah, nurse coaching, really big on holistic modalities. Like you said, mind, body, spirit. So we're not just, focusing on like your physical issues or like your mental issues or, whatever it is, it's combined all together. And I think mindfulness is really good about combining all of those together and not just focusing on one issue. It does it all together because you're quieting your mind, you're focusing on your breath, you're focusing on the tension in your body. And then with any guided meditation, you can get even deeper and like have, you can have full-blown spiritual awakenings with mindfulness. Okay. Like I remember when we went on a retreat in our coaching, business coaching, which we talked about a little bit in our last episode. But we went on a retreat and we did a breath work. What's it called? Why am my brain's blanking? Like a breathing,
Guided breathwork journey.
yeah, that thing.
What I call it. Yeah.
Very
Like
mindful.
holotropic breathing. So a
Yes,
very unique type of breath.
yes.
Yeah.
But literally just breathing. And of course, they like play the music that makes you feel all the things, and like you're laying on a yoga mat and there's candles and incense and whatever. But then, I mean, and I went into it skeptical because I had never done something like that before. But just with guided breathing, that's it. That's all we did was guided breathing. And you just breathe the way that they are instructing you to breathe. I had a full-blown spiritual awakening from that. Crazy.
Yeah.
What pill can do that? That's just insane. Like, what is that? So it is powerful. And yeah, I mean, it's completely changed my life. Mindfulness
Mhm.
has. Um, and so I think with going through the program and going through the nurse coaching certification course and doing our business coaching, and that was just like all around us all the time. We became more aware of how important this was, not just for us, but for people still working in healthcare, people still working bedside, in the trenches, stressed out, anxious. I mean, it's no, surprise. I mean, we hear it all the time. We get feedback all the time from other nurses that they're anxious and they're stressed out and they're burnt out. And just them saying that, and I'm sure if we talked to each one of these people and like had a conversation just like this, they would tell us, like you said, like similar symptoms, similar things I'm sure are probably going on within them.
Mhm.
And so when we went through all of that, we realized that mindfulness needed to be incorporated more in healthcare, nursing schools, with starting with nursing students, if we started with nursing students going into the nursing world, working hospital bedside, that would set them up for such great success and hopefully prevent them from ending up like us. So that's why we created mindful medicine to begin with. Um, and so I'm like rambling a little bit here, but like that's this, we're just so passionate about mindfulness, I guess what I'm trying to say. And our experiences have brought us to this point where now we're here and we've created mindful medicine.
Mhm.
And I'll let you take over because
You need a
short of
breath.
breath.
Uh, I like, yeah, that you talked about how you literally needed a physical pill, a pharmaceutical medicine to help your anxiety because you were at a point that it was essential. You needed it. It's like almost the ladder to help you reach the tools that were not actually pills, right? And how mindfulness, we believe, is a true form of medicine. And so if we can get that accessible to the people who need it before they reach that point where they have to have a pill, how beautiful is that, right? Like
Yeah.
I think about, I took care of an abnormally high amount of nursing students who were my patients that were having severe anxiety, navigating it all. And they were experiencing pain, they were experiencing anxiety, and a plethora of other symptoms, which we related to autonomic nervous system dysregulation,
Mhm.
including what you talked about, the heart palpitations, the feeling out of body, the dizziness, the feeling like I'm gonna faint, like all of these things. And I remember experiencing many of them during nursing school as well, and just not having a name for it. How powerful would it be if, when I was in nursing school, had I had other tools to reach for, before ending up where I was down the line? And so that's what I was craving when I was working as an NP and getting pushed to prescribe these meds, which felt super icky to me. Yes, we need meds and they do amazing work for many people, but I'm sure the majority of the population would prefer an alternative that didn't have side effects. If or something to help boost and synergistically work with a medication and make it more effective if they could, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so that's why we became passionate about this. We saw the extreme benefit in our lives. We saw it when we started to weave mindfulness into our sessions with our one-on-one clients. I start every session as I was taught with a little bit of mindfulness, grounding, gratitude, focusing on what's going well. And my clients always tell me, after that 2, 3 minutes, they feel better than they felt all day. They feel happier because they just gave themselves permission to focus on the good for a second and not what's next or what's going wrong, which our brains, are wired to have a negativity bias and focus on the bad.
Hmm.
And I have just seen and heard so much feedback from, at this point, hundreds of different individuals who I've worked with, how much those little shifts, those little micro moments throughout the day of mindfulness, which is essentially monotasking, which is so rare in our current society. We're normally doing 10 things at once, right? Feel that deeply as a mom now, but mindfulness is just allowing yourself to be present with how you're feeling in the moment, how you're thinking in the moment. And it can be as simple as taking 3 grounding breaths before you take a bite of food or before you respond to a difficult conversation that you're having. It doesn't have to be this complex hour-long sit on a pillow in a quiet room. And I think that's what I thought mindfulness was. I just
Yeah.
associated it with I need to be doing Buddhist level meditations right now. And I can't do it because I'm too anxious and my mind won't like quiet.
Right.
Uh, you can make it work with your life and with your uh, environment. I know a lot of people that have ADHD that find it very difficult to meditate. And so there are so many different ways to access mindfulness. And our collection of resources on mindful medicine is really just scratching the surface. But our collections are very geared to and supportive of these unique populations, right? The unique experience of the stress that a nursing student goes through. We have a whole collection of
Yeah.
meditations and resources for that population.
Hmm.
I think we have over 30 meditations for healthcare workers, from, going into a shift, from taking mindful 5-minute breaks, from dealing with difficult patients and family members, from dealing with debriefing off of the loss of a patient, to coming home and grounding yourself before you take it out on everyone around you, or if you're feeling physical symptoms and your nervous system heightened and amped up and on alert, how to come down from that, right? So our healthcare worker library, now we've transitioned into making resources for pregnancy and for motherhood. We also have our moon phase meditations, which lean into our witchier side. And then other just deep guided meditations for the general public that don't identify with any of those categories. Am I missing any?
Mm,
So
I
far,
don't think
from
so.
the
That's,
beginning.
yeah. 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 And I think too, what's really great about our library is there guided meditations. So you don't have to have any experience or practice meditating. You could just turn it on, listen. It's all guided, so you just have to listen to what we're saying, follow the prompts, um, and go through it. And it doesn't, you don't have to be experienced. This could be your first time practicing mindfulness, and it's made for you who have, you're interested in mindfulness, not really sure how it works. Our meditations are really great because we, introduce it. We kind of start most of those meditations with dropping in and taking some deep breaths and starting to kind of ground yourself. And then we lead you through whatever it is, whether it's a visualization or like a body scan or something along those lines. Um, but it's meant for everybody. You don't have to be experienced to
Yeah,
listen to any of these meditations, which I think is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So you can come if you're interested and you've never done mindfulness ever, never meditated once in your life,
right?
and you can enjoy it and you can get the benefits of mindfulness just from listening to one of our meditations. And you can listen to it in the car. Obviously, don't close your eyes and, whatever while you're driving. But um, even just like if you're driving to work, like you're going to the hospital or going to your nursing job or whatever it is, and you park your car and you have an extra like 5, 10 minutes, you could listen to one of those before you go inside. And like what a great difference that would make in your day, especially if you're feeling stressed and you're anxious about the day and you choose instead of just holding on to that and going into your day thinking it's going to be an awful day with that preconceived notion. And instead, you break up that thought pattern and you turn on one of our meditations and you start the day grounded and regulated and you're calmer and you're focusing on your breath and you visualized a great day or you visualize releasing all of that stress and all of that tension and anxiety and how big of a difference that would make in just that one day. And
Mm,
then do that every day for like a week, 2 weeks, how big of a difference that would make over time
mm,
and how regulated your nervous system would start to be before work, which is crazy because I remember driving to work, sitting in my car and dreading. I did not want to get out. I would text my husband every day, made it to work. He'd say good. And then I'd be like, I don't want to be here.
then maybe you doom scroll for a couple minutes and do something that makes you feel more anxious, right? Like
Yeah.
this is about breaking those patterns. And I think it's also a super helpful tool for people who are not experienced with meditation. I know that for me, my intro into mindfulness and meditation was by listening to a lot of guided meditations at night to fall asleep. And then it started to help me to access that and to be reminded about what positive things I can think through, how I can breathe, how I can soften and release tension and do that more throughout the day, right? It becomes like a muscle that you are building by going to the gym. You're doing the same thing for your mind, for your body, for your spirit by practicing working out your mindfulness muscle, essentially.
Yeah.
So it might not feel comfortable the first couple of times. And you might hear thoughts of frustration coming up. Oh, why isn't this making me feel better? Or, naturally, it's common, like I was saying, for our mind to default to the negative. And so if it doesn't feel easy or good the first couple times, I would encourage you to keep pushing through it because eventually there's going to be a moment where you unlock the next level. And now I can sit quietly on a pillow for an hour and be okay. Like that was so far an extreme for me. And I will
Right.
have all of these intuitive downloads come in, and it is such a potent, beautiful experience where I am feeling so grounded and like I've gotten so much clarity and information that I wouldn't have had before. I could have never done that had I not eased in with guided meditations.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. I mean, we're not gonna, in our meditations, we're not gonna sit there and tell you, okay, close your eyes, focus on your breath, and sit there quietly for half an hour.
Yeah.
Like it's not
They're
like
pretty specific, and you can tell from the descriptions and the titles what you're getting into. We have lots of short ones, so you can work your way up. But we're also we love creating these, and so if you have topics that you feel would be helpful for you, whether you are a healthcare worker, whether you're a nursing student, whether you're pregnant or a mom, or none of those topics resonate for you and you are looking for support in a different area of your life, feel free to message us what you're thinking because we would love to curate some more meditations that feel really aligned for you.
Yeah. And we will the link to the Patreon where we have our entire collection and library of collections and meditations for all those different populations. And then we also have other resources on there as well that aren't just meditations that you can check out. And then we also have the rest of our podcast episodes. They're on our Patreon as well as here on YouTube. So you can watch all of those as well. Get to learn about us a little bit more and who we are. So I think we're ready to wrap it up. So
Yeah.
I will lead us out like we do on every episode. We'll just circle back to our breath. So if you're ready and you feel comfortable, go ahead and just relax back into your seat. Close your eyes or soften your gaze if that feels good for you. Maybe notice some tension that maybe you've kind of gathered back up from the beginning of the episode, whether in your shoulders or your neck, your jaw or your forehead, maybe in your hands or feet even. Just go ahead and relax those muscles as best you can. Start to focus on your breath, just breathing in and out, releasing any tension that you're feeling in your body right now. And take a deep breath in this time, in through your nose. Hold it up at the top for a few seconds and release it through your mouth, either quietly or with a sigh. And take another deep breath in through your nose, filling your chest and your belly, holding it for a couple seconds and releasing out through your mouth. We'll do one more deep breath in through your nose, as deep as you could possibly take. Maybe the deepest breath you've taken all day. Hold it up at the top and release it with an audible sigh. When you're ready, just start to open your eyes, shake your body a little bit, wake up, and we're ready to move on with the rest of our day in a grounded and regulated space. At least for the next little bit. But thank you guys so much for watching.
We'll see you
If
next time.
if you have any suggestions for meditations, leave them in the comments below or on our Patreon. You can send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. But thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.